Hey to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, ChiroThin, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 195 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. RJ Gelinas, and if you want to get chiropractic, stay tuned. And we're up. So we have RJ Gelinas coming to us from the other side of Colorado today. We're on the western slope, you're on the front range. And this is episode 195 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And before we jump into this episode, we just want to really welcome you and thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me too. Honored. Always honored to be on someone's podcast. So cool.
Yeah, man. When I saw you out at in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago, I was like, dude, why don't we get you on the show? And you're like, yep, send me the link. So here it is.
I like to talk, so why not? Let's do it.
And your practice is I Get It Chiropractic, and I think that that's a good impetus for why we do this, because we want everybody to get chiropractic.
Absolutely, man. It's right now we have a desire. I think we have the utmost time. It's sort of back to like 1918 Spanish flu days. Right now, it's chiropractic's time to seize the opportunity, carpe diem, and really make an impact, because the community wants truth. They want answers. They want hope. And we're the only ones delivering that 24/7. So chiropractors need to wake up or get out. And, you know, we need more people like you guys. We need more people like the chiropractors that show up every day just to try to make a difference. So thank you to you guys, what you do for chiropractic. And I don't think people give you guys enough gratitude or, praise for the work that you put in for chiropractors. So I truly appreciate the work you guys do. So thank you guys.
Man, it means a lot to us to hear those words, just because we're grinders. We're always out on the front lines trying to get this message outside the four walls of the echo chamber of chiropractic. And, when chiropractors get it, like your name, your practice, I Get It Chiropractic, like people get it that are inside those four walls. Because chiropractors are taught over time that it's so important to educate their patient base. I mean,
yep.
That's one of like the mainstays of the chiropractic profession is once you get attention, you keep attention, you deliver attention, you give adjustments, you teach people the chiropractic ways. And that's really, why we do what we do. Like you say, most of the real heroes, they're inside their brick and mortars and no one ever hears from them unless they come into those doors.
Right. That's different hero's journey too, right? Like you have to have people in the front making waves, and you have to have the people in the back doing the job and putting it out there. That's, just part of the different hero's journey. And either one of us you're still a hero in the terms of chiropractic. So if we didn't have people in the walls, like you said, then the stories never get out. And if we don't have people outside the walls, then the stories never get heard. So I'm with you. It's a double whammy right now. And it's such an opportune time. And I just keep thinking of the opportunities right now with what's going on in this COVID and all this mess and all the lies and all the deceit, that the one truth is that the human body's made in perfection and that the human body's designed for life, health, and healing. And we just got to remove the interference and let the body do that.
Yeah. One of my buddies, Eric Plasker, he says it the best, I think. Chiropractic first, chiropractic second, chiropractic third, chiropractic fourth, chiropractic fifth. And then if chiropractic after the fifth time isn't the right solution, then add in maybe some other things. But always try chiropractic first. And I know chiropractors have been like really, lobbying to be a port of entry for the medical profession and saying, hey, let's try us first, least invasive first type approaches. And I know that's something I want to talk to you as we develop this interview further, but I know that all this has pushed you into a position of leadership in Colorado to really work within the growth of the profession to keep it pure and unsullied, as BJ would say. And I know I'm pre-framing a lot of what we're going to dive into, but before we do that, would you mind telling us like your story, the chiropractic story that you got into the profession, how that happened? I know you played rugby at Palmer, and I know that there's a lot of legacy within that program, but maybe share with us like how you got into the profession and then what it means for you to still be a part of a practicing chiropractor.
Sure. I got adjusted when I was 12. The very first time my brother adjusted me, he graduated from Life, I think around 1989, 1990, somewhere in there, from Life West. He was a huge disciple of Dan Murphy, living legend in chiropractic. My brother worked with him, did a whole bunch of stuff, and came back and opened a huge pain center. So my brother's practice was called I think Mayfield Pain Clinic or whatever it was. Didn't know much about chiropractic, didn't educate me. Got in a bad car accident at 16. He's like, you can choose football or getting adjusted. And like any 16-year-old, you choose football and you just go with it. So I suffered, excruciating back pain most of my life, got into rugby. I'd get hurt, go see my brother. He'd get me back on the field quicker. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty darn cool. Played Super League rugby in Canada. I got offered a scholarship to go to Palmer. Didn't know much about it. I didn't know the difference between that and Life. I just went. They said, here's money. Cool. I'm going. We went to Davenport, Iowa, move in, go to Scott Community College, play rugby. Thought I knew everything about chiropractic because I was ready to go home and open up a clinic with my brother called the House of Pain. Super cool name, super cool. I mean, we had a song. We could have been jumping around all day. And then I just went through the motions of like anyone in school. I did all the techniques. Still didn't understand the philosophy. I thought philosophy was weird the first time I heard it at Palmer. I don't think I was ready for it yet. And then just before I was graduating, went home to Canada. I was having some digestive issues in Iowa. I thought it was all the corn and just being in Iowa. No offense, Jim. I know you're from there. I know you're Illinois. Hey, leave that out, okay? It was all the Natty Ice and Bush Light and all that cheap booze that we don't even consider booze being from Canada. So I got sick and I went home and I was diagnosed with cirrhosis and diabetes. Didn't know what to do. Medically, it wasn't looking good. And then everyone's like, go see James Chestnut. You got to look at chestnut stuff. And everyone was saying chestnut back in the time. This is early 2006. So Michelle and I went to a seminar with Chestnut and he started talking about, it was like the number one seminar of his where he talks about the subluxation and all the science behind it. And when he started talking about lifestyle and it started to make sense to me and it started to click. And that's sort of where we looked at each other and said, oh my God, I get it. We now understand the body. We now understand how the human body works in subluxation through its pathways. And then I dove hard into that and, followed Chestnut around and then got into the upper cervical work of Blair and then just really the green books. And then now today, that's where I've transformed into the understanding of BJ. And now I'm more open to it. And it's like, we missed opportunities back then because of some of the greats that were there. There was times Sigafus was around, Reggie Gold was around. I didn't know who they were back then. And now I love them today. They're some of my greatest mentors and some of the greatest teachings we have. But again, I think it was all part of that transformational journey that I had to be ready to accept it. And that's sort of my chiropractic journey to where now today I'm super principled. People like, what do you do in your office? I do chiropractic. That's it. I don't want to do anything else. People, oh, you need to do this and that. And I'm like, no, I love those things and I agree with them. But in my office, I just want to be chiropractor where we adjust the spine and allow the body to heal.
I love it, man. I've been into your practice and I've seen over the past, I think at least 7 years since I've known you. And it's just been really cool to see you develop into who you are right now as a practitioner and what you're doing for the state of Colorado. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about why you stepped into that void to be in support of the Colorado Chiropractic Association?
Yeah. And, that was just from just being around and, a bunch of principled chiropractors and, even take out that term, just chiropractors that, I think we're all the same, have some sort of similarities in principle. We adjust and whatever it takes. I just got tired of talking and not doing. deeds not words is a way better lived. It's like, I want to follow a person that does things and not just talks about things. So when the opportunity was for me to join the board, there was a position opening District 2. I jumped in. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. The first couple of board meetings were very overwhelming from a guy that just likes to run his mouth and stuff. I didn't know that there's rules and you had to follow things. And I've learned and I've grown in that role too, because it's not just about me. It's about all the people that we represent as on the association of all the chiropractors. So it's an interesting transformation in your mindset of just like patients. I can't give them all my beliefs and my level. You have to meet them where they're at and sort of grow, and you escalate, just like me in my journey of chiropractic. Like if someone had been like, this is chiropractic and what you've done is wrong, then I would have been so turned off from it and I would have probably never given another chance. Where I was allowed to fail, I was allowed to get sick and realize that that was the only answer that was going to be different. It got me there. So it's the same sort of premise in terms of the political battle. You have to sort of meet people where they're at, give them a chance to see, oh, well, I don't like that, I like this. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. So it's just fun being a part of it. Hopefully I'm going to run for vice president or whatever's next to get on the executive board this year. I want to move up and eventually be president, just because I think I have a lot to offer. I'm a big voice and I can make change happen in a good way. And again, looking at everyone's aspect of what they want as all chiropractors in the state, and just put forward a really good group, an organization that brings people together. And that's what I want. I want it to be like, the rugby or hockey teams, just where people mesh, and we need to have a come together, not a dissipate. There's so much of that right now in the political moment outside of chiropractic, even in terms of the moment we're in right now in this current time of, we're in an election year, which is more divisive than ever. And what we need to do is bring the chiropractors together and rally to make us strong. Like I said, today, right now in 2020, we have an opportune time to make impact if we just put all of our past aside and just rally on the frontiers of chiropractic.
So could you tell us some of the mantras that you live your life by?
Mantras I live my life by. One that always plays, I had a pastor friend, he's a really good friend of mine, always told me not to suck. So I try not to suck every day. I read that every single day, don't suck today. Other mantras are, doing is better than saying. You get out and make stuff happen. Do things like that. Just don't say it, do it. A lot of BJ stuff. I love old school BJ stuff. Never know how far reaching, what you say, think, or do today will impact the lives of millions tomorrow. So I always try to really make sure when I'm in my office, when I'm speaking to people, that I'm giving them something of value that's going to impact their lives, long term. Some of that. Does that help?
Yeah, man. Just listening to you, like, you remind me so much of myself. Like, show up and play hard and learn the rules later. Have like a big personality that you want to like get the point across, but then sometimes we have to like mature through it.
Absolutely. And I think that's growth, right? Like and I guess you want a mantra, I will always do and ask for forgiveness later. I won't ask for permission. I'm just going to do it. If I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I won't make that mistake again. But I think if you don't go at it that way and you don't try, like Yoda, do or do not, there is no try, right? You have to be a doer in life. Like the triers, they don't do anything. Like, just get up and do it. And that's why I get so mad. Like I said, social media, I had to get off of, because all it does is bring out the worst in me, because I get so pissed at people running their mouths. And I'm like, shut up and show up. And people just don't want to do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of flexibility with people's attitudinal approaches on social media, and everybody's a keyboard cowboy, and nobody ever feels like that they will see you. Like, oh, I will see you someday. Yeah, that's gonna be a day of reckoning, and I think that when we consider that, like, everybody wants to be some type of a front, because that behavior is accepted, and it's very you can achieve daily by typing a message to somebody. And that's it. People, they can show up, but they don't have to show up in person. And that's where we've changed, the behaviors today. And that's why I think chiropractic is more valuable than ever, is because chiropractic is you show up and no one else can replace the adjustment. Like,
right. And right now, that's what people want, man. Like I said, everyone's so happy that the CDC changed their numbers and all this stuff. And it's lie. And we can't control that. So what can we control as chiropractors? We can control the nervous system through the adjustment. So why don't we just focus on that? Like, oh, we can't say immunity online. Great. Just talk about the adjustment. Like, if you want your body to adapt at 100%, you need to be adjusted. That's it.
and I think what they say that we can't do, we should do more of.
Right. Just do it correctly. Don't go like, that's the hard part. Like, people are like, oh, you need to do a workshop and put it on Facebook. I'm like, it's just going to get censored and taken down. And if you want people to be well, just bring them to my office. They'll get in here, get well. We can go back to the workshops later, and do that stuff. But people just need to be adjusted, and they need to understand the power of the adjustment, and that's it. And, get ready for that second wave, right? Like, get your body ready now. Just focus on you, focus on your body, focus on being healthy, and don't worry about the rest, because we can't control it.
Amen.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, ChiroThin, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
So on the topic of the power of the adjustment, how do you think the world would change if everyone started getting adjusted?
Well, that, my friend, is like my ultimate dream. That's a world, like majority of the world's under the adjustment. I just see light. I see a bright light coming off everybody. I see, connection, community. I see love. I see this divisiveness of race to hating certain people and certain genders and certain colors all gone. I just think that if the world was unsubluxated, we would be people moving on purpose, fulfilling our potentials, and just coming together as like this glorious being of oneness. It would be, man, it brings so much hope to me, Luke, and I'm so grateful you asked that question, because that's a world I want to live in. That's a world that I want my kids to be a part of. That's like a utopia. It's like heaven on earth would be that all people shining bright as the divine creator created us to be. And it would be so amazing just to see us accomplishing what he wants us all to accomplish, and not having this divisiveness of fighting and the world that we know it. Like, it's all subluxation causing it, right? Like, they're all subluxated, and we just need people to being at their best. And man, it'd be so amazing. It'd be like the Bible says, land of milk and honey. That would be true milk and honey to me, seeing people not subluxated.
Yeah, I think it just goes to the when people are free and they have freedom of their body, that is a life where people are more productive. And that's really what turned me on to chiropractic. Was people, when I first got into it, Matt Walker asked me, like, what do you know about chiropractic? I'm like, bro, all I know is when I get adjusted, I feel better. He goes, that's good enough.
Yeah. And, a lot of chiropractic, I don't like talking about feelings. Well, again, it's not about our likes and our wants. That's what the public perception is. Like, why do you feel better? Well, because it's a dopamine release, man. You're getting like chemistry of life has flown from that brain into every cell of your body. Like, you are going to feel better. Oh, you can't talk about feelings. You can't talk about symptoms. Well, I'm sorry, BJ did it. And BJ, to me, is still the most successful chiropractor in the history of chiropractic. And, you can debate it if you want, but that guy put more people in school. They used to see 3,000 people a day down at Palmer, and they adjusted Atlas only until the Industrial Revolution. They started adjusting more than Atlas, and BJ crushed it. And if we just all lived a little bit more like BJ, we'd all crush it too.
Yeah, I think BJ was a frontiersman. He was a trailblazer. He was an innovator. He was a industry transformer. And when you think about somebody with that much gusto to go out there and travel the world and to spread and disseminate this message of chiropractic, that dude had a sole purpose, and that was to check and adjust and to spread this message of chiropractic, whether it's starting a radio station, starting a newspaper press, starting a college, having seminars. You know, we were just talking before we jumped on here is how do you create a seminar in 2020? Just get a damn tent and have it under the big top and forget
Amen.
what you look like and show up and just be there and be in company and congregation and talk about the big idea. Because, you know, once you get that, all else follows. And I think that's what we need to go back to is the old school principle, like you said, being around a group of principal chiropractors. Nothing sets me more on fire than when I'm in a room full of you guys.
Yeah, it's true. It's just the energy, right? And, I think we should do that next year. I think we should grab a tent, do it in Colorado under a tent. Oh, we don't have sound system. You don't need sound system. You're under a tent. Okay. You're going to sit there. You're going to be close together. You're going to be in a dust storm, rainstorm, who cares? You're just going to sit there and have people share chiropractic. And I think that's what the world needs. And, forget all this lights and the fanciness. And we don't need that. It's simple. Like, how do you do an adjustment with this and with this and a table? Like, I don't even need a table. I could adjust you on my kitchen table right now. Like, it's simple. And yet we're trying to overcomplicate it. Oh, we need bigger bells and bigger whistles, and we need a white coat and no coat and blah, blah, blah. And people need to respect you and you have to dress the part. Like, show up with your heart, show up with your hands, and you will transform humanity. It's simple. Like wisdom, like you said, Jim, like wisdom. What's the wisdom? Follow what BJ did. That's wisdom. Oh, it's different times. No, it's the same times. They had the Spanish flu. They had people with red X's. We have people with masks. It's the same shit. Go grab them, tell them to get on the table, adjust them, and the X falls off and the mask comes off. It's the same shit.
So where do you see chiropractic going in the next 20 years?
Up and up. And I think, there's been a great awakening right now during COVID. A lot of people are seeing the BS of the medical society. They're seeing the infighting of the own medical society. They're seeing a downward spiral of the medical society. And people are going to be searching and realizing right now, especially with the data. So again, the numbers that come out, you have 94% of the people dying with 2 health conditions. So right now, the greatest thing is health. And to me, the only doctors in the world that can get people healthy are chiropractors. So again, if we stop looking and finding out what's wrong with the guy next to us and saying, hey, let's unite, let's all be chiropractors, let's get more people in our offices, then we're going to go up. But if we spend the next 5 years, Luke, fighting, I'm more principled than you, and my principle is better, and my philosophy is more sound, and Atlas, Axis, Arthur, whatever you want to do, if we just shut that up and just start going, hey, we have hands, we have a heart, and we're going to help you heal, and it's called chiropractic, we're going to do great things. We should be crushing it right now. Every office should be crushing it because people are looking for it.
Well, Doc, that's why I fell in love with chiropractic, because I saw one common thread. The silver lining was the truth. And I didn't want to devote myself and my talents and my time and my treasure to something I didn't believe in 100%. And when I first got downloaded the information of what chiropractic really was, when I started watching Deed Harrison videos, when I started watching John DeMartini, when I started watching Reggie Gold videos and Sigafoos videos, I was just like blown away. And then I got turned on to, old BJ like audios. And I started listening to Sid Williams talking about dropping keys and at his assemblies. And I read this book called The Meadowlark's Experience of a speech that Sid gave. And I was just like, if people really understood what this profession stood for, if they really understood it, pharmacology wouldn't have a place, because people wouldn't want to take pills. They wouldn't want to have things influenced into their body. They would want to live healthy and natural. But anybody that used to think that way was like hippy dippy or granola. And, they weren't accepted because they were the ones that were like, fixing their meals and not going to like buy prepackaged food. And, when you think about like the the semblance of what a chiropractor is. I grew up in Iowa, like you mentioned early on in the interview. And if somebody doesn't have their health in Iowa, people will sell the farm to save someone's life, And I think that's what you just said, is people that have two conditions, comorbidities, that are not managing them properly. Yeah, you're susceptible to dying. And that's what chiropractors are also, like you said, you went to the chestnut path. Eat well, think well, move well, get adjusted. I think if we just simply made a campaign on that alone, and people understood that they should eat well, they should think well, they should move well, they should get adjusted, game over.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, and a lot of chiropractors don't like the lifestyle piece. But the reality is in that moment when I was my sickest, it was my lifestyle I was at Palmer. I was getting adjusted. Sure, I wasn't, not specific care, blah, blah, but my body in that moment was still destined for sickness and disease because of the subluxations of my lifestyle, right? Like emotionally, I couldn't have been a leader I was being that sick. I couldn't adjust as well being that sick. And, everything is relevant to traumas, thoughts, and toxins. Eat well, move well, think. It's the same thing. And people yet have such a hard time with it, yet it's what BJ said. And so to me, subluxation is something that vertebral subluxation is in the vertebrae, but other subluxations stop the body's ability to adapt. And if you're on drugs and if you have eaten shitty food and if you're not exercising, your body can't adapt. And it's simple. And so I just think the more simplified message we make chiropractic, the people are going to have an easier time right now, because right now they want everything is so complex. We don't understand the particle size, this blah, blah, blah. And again, I was telling people last night, workshop, what can we control? Your health. How do we make you the healthiest? You get adjusted, you put right things in your body, you remove the toxicity deficiency, and you allow your body to adapt to environment.
So you do workshops. Can you tell us maybe some other marketing and advertising that you do to spread awareness or get new patients in the door?
Yeah. So prior to COVID, I would do speaking lunch and learns, a lot of lunch and learns. I love to get into companies and speak. I would do a lot of outside events, trade shows, things like that, always doing screenings. And people I hate screenings. I'm like, I love them because I get to educate and I get that chance to save lives. And I truly look at it like that. And people well, your time's more valuable. I said, no, people are more valuable. So if I can get anyone, that's a live change, and that's an impact in my community. Right now in COVID, I'm doing a lot of Facebook marketing. It's the first time it's ever been working for me. It's been successful. So I finally got lucky there. That and referrals, I have to turn internal, just like chiropractic inside out. And it was just having true, honest communication with my practice members saying, hey, I can't market like I used to. I really need your help. And they're like, oh, how can I help you? I'm like, can you tell your neighbors, your friends, people you come in contact with, you see people, at the store that need help, please let them know about me. And they're like, absolutely. So we made cards. We have different themes for each day we're in the office. We give them to people and they hand them out, and it's been working. So you have to sort of adapt, and that's what life's about. It's okay. I sucked at referrals. Now I'm going to become the best at referrals.
Well, the beautiful thing about what you said is the grassroots effect of third-party validation. And when you support your tribe and give people something that they can't get from anyone else, that's powerful. And when people are willing to go out there and to share the big idea with their friends and family and neighbors, that's something that you can't put a value on, because that's, like you said, even if it's one person, that's a life you've affected. And chiropractors kind of beat their chest. We save lives. You do. And the other part of that I think we need to know is that chiropractors, it's a proper phraseology, is chiropractors are hope dealers. You deal hope to your community. And the other people, the pharmaceutical people, they deal dope. And you can do one or the other. And it depends on which flag you fly. And I think that more people than ever, my coach tells me now more than ever, people are looking for chiropractic. They just don't know where to go or who to trust. So we have to get our voices out there. We have to do the ads. We have to ask for internal referrals. We have to get out there and beat the streets. A lot of the chiropractors that I heard early on that went out there and built the biggest practices, They went door knocking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a super successful way. I know a lot of offices that, started at 0 to hundreds a week. And that's what they did, man. They went around their communities, introduced themselves, said, hey, I'm opening up. Do you want to get in? And, I think that's a very good way of doing it, because you're putting yourself out there and people want to follow that guy. That's, again, the doer, not the sayer. So there's a lot of value in that statement.
Yeah. Show up and do the work.
Hey, again, you're going to have the doers and you're going to have the complainers. You're going to have the people that seize the day, like COVID. What could your choices be? You could sit around and gain a bunch of weight, or you could go out to a park and work out every day and show your kids that in terms of when the world's changing, you have choices. You can be the leader or you can be left behind. And it's just people's choices have to line up with that.
So what's your favorite way to stay engaged with your patients and your audience? Do you have like a favorite HR software or an app?
My staff would say ReviewWave. I know they love ReviewWave. They love what they're doing. And now we're doing a commercial for ReviewWave. Today, Dr. RJ is brought to you by ReviewWave. They love it. They use it. It gets them, connected. Our app, they've just allowed so much to happen. So my staff would say that. In the office, I'll do, I talk a lot to my people. I let them know what's going on. We have sayings up on the walls, change our whiteboards. But I'm not your big tech savvy guy. Like, I'm not recording. I should be recording 1-minute videos every day and sending them out there, but I'm just not into the tech. I'm more of a in-person type of guy.
And what we resist, we need to embrace.
Yeah. And that's, you guys are the tech guys. It's like when I was doing this stuff last year, what do I do to get videos on to promote this event? And you helped me so much. I'm not a tech. I shouldn't say that. It's just, I like personal communication and personal connection. I'm a person guy.
Yeah. So talking about you as the individual, what do you like to read? What do you do as hobbies? And maybe some of the things that you do to fill your brain and heart.
Okay. So hobbies, I love working out. We built a garage gym from COVID. There's a couple we get around with chiropractors. We work out together. That always builds. Books reading, different success principles, Jack Canfield to Rob Sinot's new book on the philosophy of chiropractic, things like that. Listening to BJ in my car, Sigafus. And so I keep strong with that. Other hobbies, playing with my kids, staying outdoors, starting to become a better hunter. That's always fun.
What do you hunt?
I like to go hunt for deer and elk. So that's fun times to do.
So where can people go online if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing?
Again, the best place would probably be my office website, igetatchiropractic.com. Again, I don't get on Facebook. I don't do much on the social media aspect.
You mean it's not called House of Pain?
Heck no. No, definitely not.
What else you wanted to talk about that we didn't ask you?
No, man, I think we covered a lot. So like I said, I think it's time that chiropractors just seize this moment and go for it, because people need us more than ever right now.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for being our guest today and sharing some of your knowledge and some of your heart and where you think this profession is going, and it's going straight up. And
absolutely.
Now more than ever, more people need what you're saying. So thank you for sharing your message today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I honor and appreciate you both. And just can't wait so we can be around each other again in person and not on these Zoom calls.
It's awesome seeing you here, but it'll be more fun to see you again at a seminar or an event.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
All right, okay. Well, have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
You guys too. Be blessed.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.